No one had ever noticed the old tattoo on small-town firefighter Sarah's neck. Until that terrible night when explosive materials leaked at the chemical factory and Sarah's hands moved bomb disposal equipment as if she had used it just yesterday. Because that tattoo was the sacred mark that only EOD specialists could carry. Welcome to Rising Life Stories. Before we continue, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from today, and have you ever had a moment when you had to hide your true abilities? Most of the 2,800 residents of Cedar Falls, Minnesota, knew Sarah Mitchell. At 35, she was average height, with dark brown hair, always pulled back in a practical ponytail, wearing minimal makeup. She had been working at the town's volunteer fire department for 7 years, and everyone loved and respected her. Sarah's firefighter uniform was always in perfect condition. Bright yellow reflective jacket, sturdy boots, and Mitchell written on her helmet. But Sarah's most distinctive feature was a small tattoo hidden on the left side of her neck, just below her collar. Most people never even saw it, and those who did assumed it was just a simple piece of art. But this tattoo wasn't that. Complex geometric shapes, interlocking symbols, and very fine details. This was a mark carried only by a very special group. Cedar Falls Fire Station was a small but functional building on Main Street, 2 fire trucks, basic rescue equipment, and a 12-person volunteer team. Sarah was the most experienced and reliable member of this team. "Sarah," said Fire Chief Tom Rodriguez, a 50-year-old man with 25 years of experience. "You'll be giving basic training to new volunteers this weekend, right?" "Of course, Tom," Sarah replied while checking her equipment. "I especially want to teach hazardous materials procedures." Tom had noticed that Sarah's knowledge of hazardous materials was extraordinary, but he generally didn't ask questions, knowing that Sarah was quiet and valued her privacy. "Sarah," asked young firefighter Jake Morrison, 23 years old and on the team for 2 years. "How do you know hazmat procedures so well? Did you get special training?" Sarah hesitated. She had heard this question before. "I read a lot," she said briefly. "I do research on the internet." But what Jake observed wasn't just theoretical knowledge. The way Sarah used equipment, the decisions she made in emergencies, her ability to analyze dangerous chemicals, these things couldn't be learned just from books. That evening, as Sarah drove home, she looked at the tattoo on her neck in her car's rearview mirror. She had hidden it for 7 years. She had buried her past for 7 years. But sometimes, especially when alone, she remembered those days. Sarah's house was small but tidy on the outskirts of town. She grew vegetables in her garden and read books in the evenings. Her neighbors knew her as a quiet, hard-working firefighter. But in Sarah's study, inside a locked cabinet, were photographs that no one saw. Soldiers in desert camouflage, military vehicles, and bomb disposal equipment. And at the center of these photographs was Sarah, 10 years younger. On the back of the photographs were stamps. U.S. Army EOD, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit, Classified Top Secret, Operation Desert Storm, EOD Support. Sarah had served for 10 years, from 2003 to 2013, in the U.S. Army's most elite EOD Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit. She had worked as an explosive material specialist in Iraq, Afghanistan, and various classified operations worldwide. In 2013, following a traumatic incident in her last mission, Sarah left the military and transitioned to civilian life. She chose Cedar Falls for a simple reason. It was small, quiet, and no one knew her there. For 7 years she'd been living here, serving the community as a firefighter, but no one knew her real identity. When her phone rang, Sarah quickly put the photographs back in the cabinet. It was Tom calling. "Sarah, we have an emergency. There's been a major accident at Riverside Chemical Plant. Chemical leak, explosion risk. Come immediately." Sarah's heart raced. Riverside Chemical Plant was a large factory 15 miles outside town that produced industrial chemicals. If there really was an explosive chemical leak. "Tom, what type of chemical?" Sarah asked, already starting to put on her uniform. "It's not clear yet, but the factory manager says one of the storage tanks was damaged. It contained a mixture of ammonium nitrate and fuel oil." Sarah's blood ran cold. Ammonium nitrate plus fuel oil equals ANFO. This was one of the most dangerous industrial explosive materials in the world, and if mishandled, "Tom, I'm coming right away." And Tom, in this situation, call the county bomb squad. "We already did, but the nearest team is 3 hours away. Come, let's see the situation." Sarah hung up and ran to the cabinet. She pulled out a small bag from the locked section. Inside were EOD field manuals, small detection equipment, and most importantly, special equipment used by those who knew the meaning of the tattoo on the left side of her neck. When Sarah arrived at Riverside Chemical Plant, she witnessed chaos the town had never seen. Factory workers were evacuating in panic, sirens were screaming, and heavy chemical vapors hung over the factory. Tom and the fire team were talking with the plant manager at the factory entrance. "What's the situation?" Sarah asked as she approached. Plant manager Davis, 45 years old and in a panicked state, replied, "There was an explosion in storage tank 7. Half of the ANFO mixture inside leaked out. And now there are sparks in the electrical cables." Sarah's experienced eyes immediately analyzed the situation. ANFO leak plus electrical sparks equals ticking time bomb. If ignition occurred, the blast effect would be felt in at least a 2-mile radius. "Tom," Sarah spoke in a calm but urgent voice, "immediate evacuation radius should be 3 miles, and no vehicle should approach that area." Tom was surprised. "Sarah, how do you know so much detail?" Sarah hesitated. After 7 years, it was time to tell the truth. "Tom, I'm an EOD specialist, retired. I did bomb disposal operations in the Army for 10 years. Tom's eyes widened. "What? We don't have time to discuss this now. This situation is very serious. Until the county bomb squad arrives, I can handle it." Plant manager Davis looked at Sarah hopefully. "Can you really do it? The entire factory is at risk, and if there's an explosion, it could affect the town too." In Sarah's eyes was the confidence that 10 years of experience provided. "Davis, give me this information. Exact chemical composition, tank capacity, leak rate, and electrical system layout." As Davis provided the information, Sarah was doing calculations in her head. Risk assessment, blast radius, ignition possibilities. Her old EOD training had completely returned. "Tom, tell the team this. No one approaches within 500 feet. I'm going inside to stabilize the situation." "Sarah, this is very dangerous." "Tom, trust me, this is my area." When Sarah took the EOD bag from her car, Tom and the other firefighters were shocked. The equipment in the bag was professional military grade, digital multimeter, chemical detection devices, specialized tools, and field manuals. "Sarah," Jake asked in amazement, "where did this equipment come from?" "Jake, long story. Now listen, because I'm going to give you life-saving instructions." As Sarah briefed the team, the authority in her voice impressed everyone. This was no longer the friendly neighborhood firefighter Sarah. This was a specialist carrying the experience of dozens of dangerous operations she had lived through. "First, the perimeter will be extended to 3 miles. Second, all electrical sources will be cut. Third, I'm going to the source of the chemical leak to do stabilization." "Sarah," Tom asked worriedly, "what if something goes wrong?" Sarah touched the tattoo on her neck. "Tom, I dealt with these types of situations for 10 years. In Iraq, Afghanistan, in the most dangerous places in the world. Nothing will happen to anyone in Cedar Falls." As Sarah put on protective gear, Jake curiously noticed the tattoo on her neck. "Sarah, what does that tattoo mean?" Sarah smiled. "Jake, that's an EOD specialist insignia. Only bomb disposal experts carry it." Jake's jaw dropped. You're a bomb disposal expert?" "I am, and now I'm going to use that expertise to save this town." In the protective suit, Sarah entered the factory filled with chemical vapors. Every step was calculated, every movement deliberate. Her 10 years of EOD training had returned as if she had never taken a break. When she approached Tank 7, she saw the full seriousness of the situation. The ANFO mixture had formed a large pool, and overhead electrical cables were producing intermittent sparks. Ignition could occur at any moment. Sarah used her chemical detector to analyze the atmosphere. Explosive threshold at 60%, in the danger zone but not critical yet. First, she needed to eliminate the electrical hazard. Using her special insulated tools, Sarah safely disconnected the sparking cables. After 15 minutes of precise work, the electrical ignition risk dropped to 0. Now, it was time to contain the chemical spill. From her field experience, Sarah knew the safest way to neutralize ANFO was to prevent the chemical reaction. By carefully applying special neutralization compound, she stabilized the explosive mixture step by step. Each application required exact measurements and precise timing. After 45 minutes, Sarah made radio contact. "Control, this is EOD on scene. Threat neutralized, area secured." Tom's voice was filled with relief. "Sarah, you really did it." When Sarah exited the factory, she saw not only Tom and the team, but also someone she didn't expect. County Bomb Squad Commander Lieutenant Colonel Martinez had arrived on scene. As soon as Martinez saw Sarah, he stood at attention. He had noticed the EOD insignia on Sarah's protective gear and her professional manner. "Ma'am," Martinez approached Sarah, "I'm Lieutenant Colonel Martinez, County Bomb Squad. Did you lead this operation?" "Yes, sir," Sarah replied. When Martinez saw the tattoo on Sarah's neck, his expression completely changed. He recognized that symbol, that specific design. "Ma'am," Martinez suddenly spoke in a respectful tone, "that insignia, which unit did you serve in?" "EOD Unit 23, sir. From 2003 to 2013. Martinez's eyes widened. "EOD 23? Did you serve in Operation Enduring Freedom?" "Yes, sir." At that moment, in front of everyone, Lieutenant Colonel Martinez gave Sarah a military salute. Tom, Jake, and the other firefighters watched this exchange in shock. The County Bomb Squad commander was respectfully saluting small-town firefighter Sarah. "Ma'am," Martinez continued, "EOD 23's reputation is legendary. Were you involved in that Kandahar operation, the one that neutralized the 500-pound IED?" Sarah remained modest. "Sir, I was just part of the team." "Ma'am, I studied your work at the academy. You're a hero." The next day, all of Cedar Falls had heard Sarah's story. The local newspaper ran the story on the front page with the headline, "Local Firefighter Reveals Hero Military Past Saves Town." But the biggest change in Sarah's life was at the fire station. Tom and the team now looked at her with a completely different perspective. "Sarah," Tom spoke seriously, "I apologize. We underestimated your capabilities." "Tom, I chose to hide. You don't need to blame yourself." Jake approached. "Sarah, can you teach us real hazmat procedures, bomb threat response?" Sarah smiled. "Jake, of course, but first know this knowledge comes with great responsibility." That week, Sarah started an advanced hazardous materials training program for the Cedar Falls Fire Department. Other departments in the county also sent requests to benefit from her expertise. Sarah was no longer just a local firefighter. She'd become a regional HAZMAT coordinator. A few months later, Sarah's life had been completely transformed. She still lived in Cedar Falls, still served as a firefighter, but she was no longer hiding. The State Emergency Management Agency hired Sarah as a consultant. Monthly, she gave advanced training programs in various counties, but most importantly, Sarah had found inner peace. For 7 years, she had tried to escape from the traumatic experiences of military service. Now, she could use those experiences positively. "Sarah," asked a local TV reporter during an interview, "do you regret it? Hiding your identity for 7 years?" Sarah answered thoughtfully, "No, I needed healing time. PTSD from combat, loss of fellow soldiers. Cedar Falls gave me peace, and now I'm ready to serve again, but in a different capacity." "And what are your plans now?" "I'll continue as a firefighter, but at the same time, I'll teach the next generation. If they face dangerous situations, they need to be properly trained." A year later, Cedar Falls Fire Department now had statewide recognition. Sarah's training programs provided the most advanced hazmat education in Minnesota. On Sarah's office walls were now photographs from 2 different lives, old photos from military service and new achievements in Cedar Falls. "Sarah," said Tom at his retirement party, "you transformed this department, and my perspective too." "Tom, I just shared available expertise. The real change came from the team's openness. Young firefighter Jake had now become an advanced hazmat specialist. Sarah, without your guidance, I never could have reached this level. Jake, remember, the value of expertise comes from sharing it. That evening, as Sarah drove home, she looked at the tattoo on her neck in the mirror. She was no longer hiding it. It had become a symbol of pride. Sarah's phone rang. The caller was Director Williams from FEMA. Sarah, we've been following your work in Minnesota. Are you interested in a position at the federal level? Sarah paused. A federal position would mean national impact. Director Williams, I'm honored, but my heart is in local service. In Cedar Falls, training normal people, giving them confidence. This is my true calling. Understood. But if you change your mind, the door is always open. Sarah smiled. After hanging up the phone, she looked out the window at Cedar Falls's quiet streets. This small town had given her a second chance. Now she was providing the town with a second level of protection. The tattoo on her neck was no longer a reminder of shame. It was a symbol of continued service. Different uniform, different mission, but same commitment, protecting people. Sarah Mitchell's story shows that sometimes we need to hide in order to heal. But when healing is complete, our greatest strength comes from sharing our gifts with the community. From EOD to firefighting, from combat zones to peaceful towns, Sarah learned that service has many forms, and each form is equally valuable. If this story made you feel something, share with us in the comments. Have you ever had a moment when you had to hide your true abilities? And if you think stories like this deserve to be told, don't forget to share this video. At Rising Life Stories, we believe that true courage often lives in second chances, and sometimes our greatest mission comes in unexpected forms. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join our growing community discovering extraordinary service stories of ordinary heroes. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.